What is going on, guys? Baint from REX Digital, a marketing agency and software company built by a landscaper for landscapers. And in this video, I'm going to share with you guys why I started my landscaping company. And I'm going to share the whole story from how I went from being broke with zero experience to starting and scaling a landscaping business that did $250,000 in revenue in the first 14 months, which is quite a bit of money to be making at the age that I started this at in quite a little bit of time. And I'm going to share with you guys exactly how I did it, the backstory, why I even picked a landscaping business in the first place, what services we offered, how did we grow the company, and some of the keys to success, in my opinion, after looking back at this journey and kind of learning a lot and reflecting on it, right? So let's start with the backstory. So here I am 21 years old, honestly about to be 22 years old. I had just finished college. I got my degree, whoop-de-whoop. But as it turns out, that degree was completely useless. However, what I did learn at college was that student loans are real. And I had $75,000 worth of loans that I needed to pay back because the 2 years that I spent at college, turns out that wasn't free money, and the government didn't give you this loan because they wanted you to succeed. They gave you that loan to give you a ball and chain that you have to wear for the average person that you're going to wear for the rest of your life. Now, that's a whole other topic. I could do a rant video about that, but we're not. We're here to talk about landscaping. But understand that I was in debt. I had a lot of money that I owed, and I needed something to do. So, not out of necessarily desperation, but I guess you could say that, but just being in a pinch and kind of needing to figure something out and not really deciding that I wanted anything to do with what I went to college for, I hit up a friend of mine and I was like, dude, look, I don't really care what I need to do, but I need to make some money. You know, anybody that's hiring, like, where can I go to just like do some work? And he's like, oh, well, dude, I'm working at this landscaping company. Why don't you just come work with me and see if you like it? Well, it turns out I actually loved it, right? I worked for a landscaping company. I'll talk more about like how long and what I did there and everything. But here's me. Actually, at the time, I had dreadlocks, if you can believe it or not. That was a whole other chapter of my life. But, you know, here we are on the mower, learning how to do landscaping. And actually, this is a video. I ended up doing a wheelie on this lawnmower for the video, but we won't talk about that, right? Anyways, here we are doing fall cleanups and kind of just learning about the trade. And for those of you guys that are maybe considering starting a landscaping business, then I would recommend doing the same thing. Go work for somebody else so you can learn the trade, learn the craft, learn about the service delivery, learn about how to do the different jobs. Also pay attention to how they structure their business, what tools they use, how much they pay their employees, how they do their financial, their bookkeeping, how they bid jobs, stuff like that. I gained a lot of really, really valuable experience. And to be honest, looking back at it, it was actually a cheat code to my success. It was kind of an unfair advantage, right? Because I wasn't just working for some small mom and pop landscaping company. I was working for the top. It was probably got to be the biggest, you know, either number one or number two landscaping company in my area. And they were focused exclusively on high-end commercial maintenance. So we were mowing, doing cleanups and snow removal for the biggest commercial properties in my area. And that was, you know, a really beneficial experience to get because it's like, okay, we're doing landscaping work at like pretty much the highest level. Like every guy that starts a landscaping company probably aspires to get to the point where they're doing like high-end commercial work only because it's where the money is, right? It's the big ticket, you know, solid clients. They're paying you more than like the average homeowner. And also a lot of that work is on contract. So you have stability of income and you know you're going to be working with those companies for a couple of years, right? Plus, it's really cool from a branding perspective where you're like, yeah, we do like exclusively business stuff. And, you know, you don't have to necessarily, you can make more money by doing less work for less clients, which is ultimately the goal, right? You can have 6 commercial accounts paying you $100,000 a year, or you can have like 60 residentials, right? So ultimately commercial is the goal. But, you know, I say all that to say that I gained a lot of good experience. And working for that company ultimately taught me the things that I needed to learn to start my own business. So here I am working at this other landscaping company, and I started there on July 7th of 2021. And, you know, I worked there for probably 3 months. gained a lot of experience, learned a lot. And then in October of 2021 was when I started my own landscaping business. And so you're saying in this 3 months, how did you learn enough to go from working for another landscaping company to starting your own? Well, there was a couple things that I realized during that time period that kind of inspired me to start, right? And the first one is that number one, landscaping is not rocket science. It is not complicated. Honestly, a lot of this stuff, you could train a monkey how to do it, right? It's really not hard work. It's hard work physically, but as far as figuring out how to do it, it's not rocket science, right? So I realized that. I'm like, okay, I'm mowing lawns, dude. This is not complicated. And if I'm getting paid, I started off with this other company at $16.50. Took me 1 month to get a raise to $17, and then another month to get a raise to $18 an hour. And I'm like, wait a minute, how is this company that I'm working for actually making money? So they pay me $18 an hour. Well, shit, the only way that they could be making money doing this really is if they're charging the clients or like these commercial and HOA properties more than that. So I talked to some of the higher ups. I'm friendly, I network, I figure out more about the business. You spend enough time there and you start to learn, okay, these guys are charging like $100 an hour per account, per person, per head. That's their hourly rate. And they're paying me 18. So I realized this. I'm like, oh, that's the model, right? And I learned later on that this was called labor arbitrage. And that sounds like a fancy name, but really what that means is buy low and sell high, right? It's really simple. They bill the client $100 an hour and they pay me 18, and the difference minus other expenses like gas and equipment and, overhead for the company, whatever's the difference in between that is what they keep for profit, right? So if you've got, 6, 7, 8 employees making $800 an hour and you're paying them, collectively like a couple hundred, then, you're keeping everything in the middle. So once I understood that, I was like, okay, labor arbitrage is a real thing. And I'm not going to make as much money as I could landscaping, because if these guys are charging $100 an hour, holy shit, if I was working for myself, I could just charge the $100 an hour and keep it. You know what I mean? Take out the business expenses, but then I want to be left with what's in the middle, right? So as soon as I realized that is when I really started to think about, okay, how could I take the knowledge that I'm learning here and transition this into my own business? Because I tried and failed running several businesses before this. That's why I was broke and I had no money, because I tried and failed at a lot of other things. And so I was like, okay, realistically, what is it going to take to start this landscaping business, and why should I choose to start a landscaping business? So let me run you through the thought process of some of the things that I was thinking about when I decided, okay, I'm working for this landscaping company. I'm learning all of this stuff. I've realized it's not rocket science. I could probably do this for my own and charge more, but why should I do it? One, opportunity. Landscaping has an abundance of opportunity. Now, this could be different depending on your region and where you live, but for me, where I was at, trees, leaves, and grass are everywhere. Every single property, every single person, every single house has a lawn that needs to be cut, and leaves that fall on their lawn that need to get cleaned up in the spring and in the fall. And also, we live in New England, so we get snow in the winter, right? Now, even though I never ended up really doing a lot of snow removal stuff, because it's just actually a pain, it's probably the worst, my least favorite landscaping service of all of them, other than maybe stump grinding. But, snow removal is just a whole other beast. But anyways, there's an abundance of opportunity. Two, because of that abundance of opportunity, along with a couple other factors, which I'll explain in a second, it's recession proof, in my opinion. And even back then, I started my landscaping business in 2021, which is kind of right after the pandemic of 2020. And even if you're watching this video now, recording this in 2023, when the economy is arguably in a worse position than it was then, and a lot of the markets are further down than they were in 2021, the landscaping businesses that I work with today are still doing really well. And there's a reason for that, right? Because you want to know the truth? People are lazy. People are lazy. No one wants to go mow the lawn. No one wants to cut the grass. No one wants to rake the leaves. No one wants to plow the snow. It's too much work. If you have muscles and you're willing to do work and you're also willing to sweat, that's a sweat drop if you can't tell, then you are going to be successful in the landscaping business. You know, assuming that you have half a brain cell and you can bid your jobs properly and you're decent at marketing and you know, do right by your clients and you do good work, you're going to be successful because people are freaking lazy, dude. And on top of that, it's like everybody has a lawn that needs to get cut. Nobody wants to work. As time goes on, people get less and less, you know, inspired to do their own landscaping. No one wants to. No one has time anymore, right? No one has the time for this stuff. Homeowners would rather pay you $1,000 to spread their mulch and not have to do it, never have to get their hands dirty, never have to get the dye on their hands, never have to sweat, never have to lug a wheelbarrow around. They would rather pay you to do that than do it themselves. So once I realized those two things, I'm like, okay, there's an abundance of opportunity because every single property in my area has a lawn that needs to get cut. And also people are lazy. And if I'm willing to do work and solve this problem for them, which is their grass needs to get cut and they don't want to do it, or they have mulch that needs to get spread, or they have a commercial property that needs to get maintained and they don't have the staff to do it because everywhere is hiring and no one has the capacity to hire in-house to take care of land keeping or like housekeeping, groundskeeping is what I'm trying to say. There we go. And maintenance stuff. I realized all these things and I'm like, okay, that's why I want to start a landscaping business because there's opportunity here. And if I can put myself in the right position, then we're going to do really, really well. So what services did we offer? Now, when I was first starting my landscaping business, we offered everything under the sun. And I'll zoom in. Here you go. You can see me. We're doing this was for the other company, but this is one of our 1-ton trucks. We did like not junk removal, but we'd take stuff away from people's properties, like materials. And we took this lady's fence one time. We were taking everything we could get. We did lawn care. These are some of my favorite stripes. This was one of my favorite accounts. I loved mowing this property. We did like cleanups, overhauls, stick, trash, tree removal. Here we were taking out and just completely obliterating this whole area of this one lady's lawn. She wanted to plant some stuff there. We did lawn care. This is in the spring. We're doing some dethatching. You can see our setup right there. We spread mulch. Here's me. Again, back in the time I had dreadlocks. It's crazy. And here's another important thing. I'll mention this really quick. This is another landscaper. You can see his logo is not ours. And we networked with other landscapers and other landscaping companies that needed help doing work. And we worked with them. And this is a commercial account that we ended up doing the lawn care and landscaping for. This is like a strip mall. So befriending your other local landscapers and networking is going to be really essential for you in your first couple of years because you're going to be able to be blessed for new work. And also having landscaper friends is really important. If you need equipment, if you need to do a job that you don't know how to do, if you need an extra truck from time to time, equipment, stuff like that, it's really, really helpful. We ended up buying our first truck, or not, excuse me, we ended up buying our first trailer and some of our first equipment from this guy too. So he really helped us out. So we did lawn mowing, you know, leaf cleanups. Here's a picture of a stump grinder we rented. This thing was an absolute beast, but the job that we used it on was terrible. Again, leaf removal. This is a huge, let me erase this. This was our biggest commercial account right here. This is a water park that was in our area. We did an HOA, stump grinding. We did all these trimming and pruning of this place, got that spruced up. Again, more lawn care, plantings, putting in new bushes, trees, shrubs, and doing the mulch. We did everything, right? You know, other than snow removal, we were basically a full-service landscaping company. Here you go. You can see we're doing other stuff too. Look at this big pile of leaves just sucking up. This property was the property from hell. That was a terrible one. Anyways, we offered everything that we could under the sun. And some of those services were more profitable than others, but here's how things would go. And this is pretty common for a lot of landscaping companies. We'd offer lawn care. And because we're there mowing the grass every single week, we become their landscaping guys, right? So then come fall, they need a cleanup. And in the spring, they need a cleanup. And maybe once a year, they have some brush that they want removed, or they have a tree that they want taken down. And so overall, you know, you end up making, you know, call it like, I don't know, $3,000, $4,000 per client on a residential side of things. And if you take that right there, so call it like, let's just put it right in the middle, 3.5, pull up my calculator. Let's do 250,000, which is what we made in our first year. 250, 123, divided by 3.5. Oh, no. 250, 123, divided by 3500. There we go. 71 clients, right? So to make 250K, if you're making 3,000 to 4,000 per client, you need around 60 to 70 clients, right? Which is pretty accurate because at the peak of our business, our mowing list was 60 people. And also, like I said, we had a couple big commercial accounts like the strip mall. We did, the water park. And honestly, I would say out of that 250, probably 50 to 60 of that was made up by those commercial accounts. So that was a bigger chunk of change from the commercial side of things. So now that we're in the conversation, now that we're talking about revenue and stuff like that, how did we grow? Now, I talked about this already, but landscaping is a lot about who you know, especially when it comes to those commercial contracts. But befriend your local landscapers. Those guys are going to help you out. Even if they're not passing you along work, they might have game. Game is important too. They might have the sauce. They might know the good dump spots. They might know, how to get some more clients in your area. They might know somebody that's looking for something that they don't offer that you might be willing to do because you're just getting started and you're picking up the scraps, right? So that's another thing that we did to grow. I'll just make this little list, right? Network, super important. Pick up scraps. In the beginning, if you're willing to do the things that the other landscaping companies are too bougie to do, then you're going to be willing to make a lot of money. And like I said, old work equals new work. If you can get your foot in the door with any client, if you're the guy that's willing to, pick their extra weeds or, take some of their materials away for them and dump them, or go the extra mile, do the things that no one else wants to do, you're going to be the guy that they call back when they need their lawn cut, when they need a cleanup, when they need snow removal, something bigger, right? So old work equals new work, and doing the dirty work, being the guy that picks up the scraps, sometimes is not the worst idea, right? It's going to help you get your foot in the door, and that's really what you need to do. I would say that posting on social media did not get us new clients, but it helped because the clients that we did work with, when they found us, they would want to see some sort of proof of our work because we were a newer business and we were still younger at the time. And when they see two young kids show up and they're like, "This is your landscaping business?" We're like, "Yeah, we've been doing this for a long time." And, they want to see proof of our work. They want to see our insurance. They want to see our LLC, all this stuff, right? And we had that. So we were good to go. But having social media and having a good website is really important. People love to see that, and you need to get discovered. I would say that once we got a Google business profile, and once we got our website was when we were starting to be able to get discovered online. And especially if you're in an area where there isn't a ton of competition, if you have someone like myself build your website that knows what they're doing, we can absolutely blow your competition out of the water. It's going to help you stand out, and you're going to soak up a lot of that local search traffic from people that are looking for like landscaper near me, stuff like that, right? So those are some of the big things. Also, just doing quality work at all times. People pay attention to quality. Word of mouth is the best advertising, and that's ultimately the key to growing your landscaping business. Even as a marketer, I'm going to tell you that if you don't do word of mouth referrals, stuff like that, if you don't get those, your business is going to stall out, because as a marketer, there's only so much that I can do. There's only so much money that you can spend to run ads, to buy yard signs, to do trailer wraps and, graphics, to do SEO on your website. There's only so much money you can spend to market a business. But if the product is shit, if your service is shit, if your work is shit, you're trying to polish a turd, it's not going to work, right? That shit, it just doesn't happen like that. You need to have a good product on the back end of all of that marketing effort to really be successful. So do quality work always, because your reputation is really, really important, especially in the trades, right? People talk. And I've always said this: positive word of mouth spreads slowly, but negative word of mouth spreads like absolute wildfire. If you are the worst landscaping company in your area, everyone is going to know about you. But if you're the best, it's going to take you 3 to 4 years before you actually absolutely dominate your area, right? Because eventually people are going to know that you're the best, and there's just going to be no reason for them to go to the other guys, right? So let's talk about some other keys to success. These are the big ones here. I would say that another one would be mindset. Now, I have a coaching program where I help landscapers that are doing less than $100,000 a year, or guys that are just getting started, crack that 6-figure mark. And we do it usually within 6 months, right? Now, one of the biggest things that I've noticed, a lot of these guys, their mindset, they want to do it and they want to do it quick. I've got a student, shout out to Jacob if you're watching this, bro. He wants to hit 250K and he's in his first year landscaping. Now, even though I managed to do that, I believe that people can do that, but they want to do it and they want to do it fast, right? If you truthfully wanted to play the long-term game, you'd be way better off. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to start a landscaping business and make all of this money. Out of those 14 months, all right, so let me break this down for you guys, right? Out of those 14 months that we did 250,000 in revenue in, the first 3 months, we made 10 grand. Now, if you're a landscaping company making 10 grand in 3 months, that's rough, especially with 2 guys running the company with overhead. I don't even know how we managed to do all of that, right? Like that was a very, very slow start. So the first 3 months that we were in business, out of that 14, we made $10,000. It's not a lot, right? And then the biggest chunk of that 250 was made in like the last 6 months of the 14. So because I am a degenerate, I need to do 14 minus 6. That's 8. Okay. So the first 8 months were absolutely brutal. The last 6 months was when we actually started to cash flow and make money, right? So we ate absolute dog shit through this entire period as well. Me and my partner that started the business with me, we did not pay ourselves. We were on a $500 a week salary, which is $2,000 a month, which is like barely livable in my area. I live in New Hampshire, which if you look it up is one of the highest cost of living states in the United States. And we're paying ourselves $2,000 a month to live on during the first entire full year of us starting this business, right? So when it comes to mindset, people think that they're going to start this business and just get rich. Like if you own a business, you're just going to be rich. And that is so far from the truth. I can't even can't stress it enough that like be prepared to eat shit for the first 2 years of your business. If you actually want it to be successful, and you have to reinvest all of your money back into the business so that it can continue to grow and scale, because you're going to need new equipment. You're going to want a better truck, a better trailer. You're going to need to hire employees. Employees are expensive, right? You're going to need insurance. You're going to need all these other things. You're going to want to invest in marketing so you can get more leads and close more jobs and get more clients. Like you're going to need to spend a lot of money to get your business up and off the ground. In order to do that, you might need to take a hit personally, whether it be to your ego and also to your finances, right? So be prepared to make sacrifices. This is huge. Nothing comes in this life without sacrifices. And being a business owner is one of the biggest sacrifices that you can make. No time off, right? This is okay. I'm so glad that I said this, right? Because this brings me back to the very, very beginning where, like I said, I was working for the other landscaping business in July and quit in October. However, there was a transition period in between where me and my business partner were working, It was 4 days, Monday through Thursday, 10 to 12 hours a day at the other landscaping company, and then working Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 10 to 12 hours a day for ourselves to get our own business off the ground with a couple of leads that we had coming in for that, right? So we were working 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day, for 3 months straight. We went on a freaking bender. That is what it took for us to make $10,000 with our landscaping business, because we were buying the trucks, buying the equipment, buying the trailers, and all of that money that we accumulated and all of the equipment and all the reinvesting that we did allowed for us to start the next year with a really solid foundation that eventually led to us making over 250,000, right? So you need to be prepared to make sacrifices. You need to work your absolute ass off. You need to pay yourself nothing. You need to reinvest everything. And you need to be able to do that for 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, a year, however long it takes to where you're starting to cash flow positive and you're at a place where you have the equipment that you need, you have the employees, you have the people. Like, depending on your goals, depending on how high you're trying to scale this business, that could look totally different and the timeline could be different. It also depends on how much money you're starting with. But either way, you have to be prepared to make sacrifices. I think this is probably one of the biggest mental frames, or it's one of the biggest expectation shifts that a lot of people need to make, is that success does not happen overnight. And you are not going to be successful when you first start. So you need to be prepared and willing to make sacrifices. And that is going to be absolutely incremental in your success when starting your landscaping company. Any goal that you have, if you extend the time horizon in which you desire to achieve that thing, it'll take a lot of stress off of your mind. If you plan on saying, okay, I want to start a landscaping business and I want it to be generating, 6 figures plus in 2 years, okay, that's very, very doable, right? But if you want to do it in a year, if you want to do it in 14 months, then you're going to need to work your absolute freaking butt off 10, 12-hour days, 7 days a week with no breaks, right? That's what we did. That's why we were able to do this number. And it's not going to happen for everybody, because not everybody's going to be willing to make the same sacrifices that we did, right? So I think that's a great place to wrap this up. I hope you guys got some value from that. I know I talked about a lot of different stuff, and this video is almost 30 minutes long. So if you managed to make it to the end of this video, you are a real one. And I hope that you got some value from this. I hope that you learned something, not only maybe about me, but also about what it takes to start a landscaping business. If you are thinking about starting a landscaping business, I hope this gave you a realistic expectation on what you can expect in, trying to get started, and maybe some of the things you're going to have to do to make it happen, to make it a reality and be successful with it. With that being said, if you are thinking about starting a landscaping business, or if you have started a landscaping business and you're not doing $100,000 or more in a year in revenue, and you want to work with me one-on-one inside of your business where we can help you achieve that, then click on the second link in the description. It's a coaching and strategy call, and we will, hop on a Zoom meeting. We'll do one-on-one consulting, and we'll figure out exactly what things we can do within your business to help you accelerate past that 6-figure mark. I'm working on a course. I'm working on a coaching program. But right now I just offer consultation for a select group of students. So if you want to be a part of that, then just either DM me on Instagram or click the strategy or the coaching call. You'll see the links in the description. I forget exactly what I called them, but you'll see it down there. Additionally, if you are a landscaping business owner and you're doing $250,000 in revenue or more, and you want to continue to expand and grow your business via marketing services, if that's something you're struggling with, then I would be more than happy to help you out. We can hop on a strategy session. That is the first link in the description. I do know that one. And we can talk about how we can help your business grow and expand with websites, with SEO, with Google Ads, with anything like that. So we've recently developed a digital asset acquisition system, which we're using for our landscaping clients that are well above the 6-figure mark, some of them above the $1 million mark. And we are seeing massive success with that. So if it's something you're interested in, something you think could benefit your business, which, spoiler alert, it will, book a call with me down below. We can see if it's a good fit for us to work together. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, hope you found this valuable. I'll be back with another video soon. Keep grinding. Best of luck with your business, guys. Keep crushing it this season. I'll catch you in the next one. All right. Peace.